As a law enforcement officer, I attest that my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all persons to ensure liberty, equality, and justice.
Welcome to Gainesville PD On Duty, where we take you behind the badge of the Gainesville Police Department. My name is Officer Ben Tobias, and I'm the agency spokesperson. Each month, I invite a different officer to join me in the studio so you can meet the different members of the agency. This month, I have Officer Megan Bostic joining me in the studio to co-host the show. Megan, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your current assignment.
Thanks, Ben. I've been with GPD for 3.5 years. My current assignment has me patrolling Gainesville's southwest side of town on evening shift, which is from 4 in the afternoon to 3:30 in the morning. Previously, I was one of the officers assigned to Dignity Village.
Thanks, Megan. Today's show starts with a look at one of our shift commanders, Lieutenant Paris Owens. Lieutenant Owens just happens to be Officer Bostic's boss, so I'm sure she'll have some great things to say. Faithful viewers of the show will recall when Paris was one of the co-hosts on the show many years ago. These days, however, she finds herself leading an entire shift of police officers in the town she grew up in. Let's ride along with Lieutenant Owens and learn a bit more about her leadership style.
CR 362 to Alpha 3. I'm Lieutenant Paris Owens with the Gainesville Police Department. I'm the evening shift commander. As a lieutenant, we're responsible for the entire shift when we're working. At night, we're responsible for the officers. We have 3 different teams of officers with a sergeant and a corporal most of the time. Team 1 consists of primarily the Northwest, Team 2 primarily the Northeast, and Team 3 the Southwest. We have what we call shift briefing. It's where we go in, we speak about what went on the night before, what things that we can improve upon. We do some training. We have the sergeants there who will sometimes train. We even have officers who are well versed in different areas, and they come in and they maybe come and say, you know, Lieutenant or Sarge, I'm interested in speaking to the shift about traffic stops, or I'm interested in speaking about setting perimeters. And we allow them to go and do their research and come in and train their fellow officers. When I come to the scene, a lot of times it's to just be an ear. It's to listen to what they have to say, maybe provide some input or some insight, some experience, maybe a little bit of wisdom. I've been here a long time. And you know, if it's something that they need my assistance on, because I'm there to be a team player. So, you know, I'm not coming there to kind of overtake their scene. I'm there to make sure that they have everything they need, they have the resources they need. You are the person that if a critical incident happens or if something bad happens, they come to you, they look to you for that guidance. And I'm there to pretty much make them feel comfortable and get them everything that they need. You learn something new every day. We have officers who are well versed in many different areas. You know, it's great to be able to utilize their talents and their skills and their experience to make me a better lieutenant. I'm going to get with Officer Darren Graham, who works Alpha Zone, and I'll get with Officer Michael Kay, who works Romeo Zone, and remind them, which I'm sure I don't have to, but just make sure that they go to those meetings, because they happen, typically they happen once a month, so we try to make sure that the officers get there. Unless something happens where they're on a call and they're not able to go, they pretty much know that they need to attend those meetings. So. Let's see, he said about 10, right? I was going out to deliver the backpacks that were going to be delivered to some of the children up in the Pine Ridge neighborhood today. And as we were headed out there, I noticed that Officer Graham was still on a call that he had been dispatched to, actually right out of our shift briefing, and he was still there. I come to make a delivery to you.
I don't even know if I'm be able to make it.
I know.
Pretty much, Zach just called in saying that they saw them wandering around on the property, hiding behind the bushes. I made contact with them. They're saying that they're cutting the berries off the palm trees, which doesn't belong to them. They explained that to them. So as they're getting ready to leave, they never mentioned guy number 3 that comes walking out behind there. And get sent to search the truck, find weed in the truck. He admits to it.
They had spoken to them, found out that one had a bad license, one had a license that didn't belong to him, and they were advising that the plants that they were digging up was used to cure prostate cancer, and they had a truckload of these plants that they had cut off of palm trees. All right, then.
Catching burglars.
Catching burglars,
Giving to the city.
giving to the city, loving the kids, all of that. Hey, Daddy. How are you? Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Yeah. Hi, Mom. This is where I grew up. This is, we moved over here when I was about approximately 3 years old. We moved from the Porter's neighborhood, and we've been here ever since. My parents still live here. They're still an integral part of the neighborhood. Everybody knows my dad, of course. You know, he makes sure that whenever anything's happening or going on, he gives me a call. But the neighborhood has certainly come a long ways. I mean, this area used to be riddled with drugs and crime, and with the help of the neighborhood watches and all of the people like my dad who are highly dedicated in making sure that we keep a safe and productive neighborhood, they've done a great job over here. And they're still here, so that goes to show that a lot of the people who are vested in the community, they're still here because they care. I tell you, having grown up over here and having seen a lot of things and been exposed to a lot of both positive and negative, it's taught me compassion. It's taught me everything that the chief instills in all of the officers. That's what it's all about. It's about making sure that the community is safe and that we build a great rapport with them so that anything that they may need, they can always come to us. And you always have to have, you know, basically an open arms and an open door to them so that they can feel comfortable coming in and telling you and asking you questions and helping you to make sure that their community free of drugs and crime, and being able to see to the evolution of this particular neighborhood has been great, because like I said, it was really bad at one point. But when you have the officers working with the community and you know, you have that reciprocity, that's awesome. I love Gainesville. I wouldn't, you know, that's why I've been here all my life. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So I love Gainesville. This is my community and I'm here.
I really do enjoy working for Lieutenant Owens. She understands the community because she grew up here. Her supportive leadership style enabled us as officers to do our job effectively so we can serve and protect the community. After the break, we'll tell you how Gainesville police officers are equipped with some life-saving trauma kits. Gainesville PD on duty will be right back.
Burglaries and robberies have become serious concerns in our city. This crime is referred to as a crime of opportunity because most criminals look for the path of least resistance. Protect yourself, don't become a target, lock your doors, and keep expensive items out of plain view.
For crime prevention information, go to GainesvillePD.org or call the Gainesville Police Department's Crime Prevention Office at 334-2479. Protect yourself, don't become a target.
I will maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule. Develop self-restraint and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed in both my personal and official life, I will be exemplary in obeying the laws of the land and the regulations of my department. Together as a community, we foster order, safety, and freedom.
Welcome back to Gainesville PD on duty. Gainesville police officers are first responders to many calls that involve injuries. We have cars on the road 24 hours a day. Even though the fire and rescue departments do have lightning fast response times, sometimes our officers are only seconds away from a call. Our officers do receive limited medical training in the police academy, but one of our lieutenants realized that we have the capability to provide much more advanced care. GPD Lieutenant Dan Stout, who is also a paramedic, pioneered GPD's Tactical Casualty Combat Care Program. This program provides critical injury, life-saving training and equipment to GPD's officers. We will warn you that this segment does include some lifelike training scenarios with simulated severe injuries and blood, so viewer discretion is advised.
My name is Dan Stout. I'm a lieutenant here at the Gainesville Police Department. I've been here about 21 years. In addition to being a certified law enforcement officer, I'm also a paramedic, certified here in the state of Florida, and served for 14 years on our SWAT team, mainly as the medic. Here at the Gainesville Police Department, all of our officers, as part of their basic police recruit curriculum, have completed a first aid course mandated by the state. They can deal with a wide array of regular routine medical emergencies, as well as injured persons.
You're doing fine.
There you go.
We are all CPR certified through the American Heart Association. And additionally, all of our personnel have received additional training and additional equipment specifically to deal with very traumatic injuries. Our trauma kit program here at the Gainesville Police Department is based on what is known as tactical combat casualty care, which is the military's modality for dealing with traumatic injuries on the battlefield.
My name is John Slish, emergency medical physician at University of Florida Shands Health System. I'm a reserve officer for the Gainesville Police Department, for which I also operate as a SWAT team physician. What we're able to provide there on the street is so much more advanced than what you had just 5-10 years ago. And Columbine kind of opened everybody's eyes to it. Then you had Aurora, then you had, multiple school shootings. Kind of everybody now has to pay attention to the fact that bad things happening to good people in good places. So we need to be able to take that medicine to them.
The program started in the fall of 2007. 2007 was a particularly very bad year for law enforcement, a significant jump in the number of police officers killed that year. Our chief at the time formed a committee of everybody that is involved in training and said, is it a training issue? Is it an equipment issue? What can we better do to protect and equip our officers to respond to these situations? We revisited good tactical training. We upgraded different aspects of our weaponry at the Gainesville Police Department. My contribution to that was we have this program contained at that time on SWAT. At the time I was a paramedic on the SWAT team. All of the members of the SWAT team were trained and equipped. And my suggestion was we take it outside of just the parameters of SWAT and take it agency-wide so that every single officer is equipped and trained to be able to have this capacity.
This was just not even thought of. It was unheard of back then. And EMS was always behind a yellow tape until law enforcement had cleared the scene. And what we realized is you're losing a lot of people during that downtime. And I think that's what kind of sparked Dan's interest in this. He became a paramedic on his own. And being a sworn law enforcement officer, he recognized the fact that police officers are often the first person on that scene. And I knew that from my decade of experience down in Marion County. Came up here and realized, well, I need to kind of close that loop, go through the police academy, get myself sworn, and take this forward and continue the torch that he's kind of lit.
This is beyond classroom and beyond PowerPoint. This training that we give our personnel is very hands-on, a lot of repetition. We conduct stress-induced scenario training. I work part-time for a private military contractor that teaches this to our United States military. And I definitely bring some of that aspect to this training to make it as realistic as we possibly can. I have access to mannequins that can simulate pretty gruesome injuries and bleed effectively. And when the officers enter the scenarios, by God, I'm not saying pretend this guy is bleeding, he's actually bleeding. And they get in, and if they do it correctly, the guy quits bleeding. If they do it incorrectly, the guy continues to bleed. And it's not an easy scenario to go through. A lot of them have told me afterwards, man, my God, that was the most amazing scenario I've been a part of. More importantly, when I hear back from those officers who've gone through the training and then either 6 months, a year and a half later, actually use the trauma kit on the road, they come back to me and say, man, that training that you put us through, that made all the difference in the world because I was calm. It was just like you said it would be. And that I'm very proud of them because they're going into these scenarios confident and prepared and not hesitating and making good critical decisions.
So Iraq and Afghanistan are very difficult things for most people to face, but the reality is in the conflict of war, you learn a lot of lessons if you're paying attention. And TCCC advancements have been incredible and how they've changed how we manage things. So you look at September 11th when it occurred and how we respond to those incidents now.
2 years ago, we got a very nice donation from Shands Hospital. They purchased the remaining 35 kits that we needed to finish staffing and fully equipping all of our officers. So every officer, whether they're in a marked unit, an unmarked unit, a uniformed capacity, a plainclothes capacity, every single officer now has this equipment and training. This big bag is the bag that I carried when I was on the SWAT team. It's got a lot of different equipment in it. A huge array of capabilities. This is not what we're talking about every officer walking around town on. This is actually the size of the kit, and it's either on the cage of the patrol car or a lot of the officers wear it on their TAC vest. The SWAT team wears it on their vest, and it contains 4 simple components. The first one inside is a prefab tourniquet. This is a Special Operations Forces tourniquet. Very, very effective in dealing with major life-threatening bleeds to either the arms or the legs. And this is what we train our folks. If that's the mechanism of injury and it is a life-threatening arterial bleed, this is what we go to first. Second component that's in there is what's called a hemostatic agent, combat gauze. This is a dried gauze that has a chemical compound in it that helps the blood coagulate and form clots, and very, very efficient for helping deal with traumatic bleeds that we cannot get a tourniquet on. So something in, say, the pelvis or the abdomen or the side of the neck, something of that nature. Very, very good stuff. We have an Asherman chest seal for dealing with sucking chest wounds, any type of penetrating trauma to the upper torso. Helps seal that up and keeps the lungs from collapsing. And then lastly, a good military grade trauma bandage. Instead of opening up a bunch of different little 4x4 pads and things like that that aren't absorbent, we've got one good bandage that we can open up and be very effective with. We are law enforcement officers first. Our job is to respond and tactically get a situation under control.
So I'm what's considered to be a tactical medical operator, and Dan Stout kind of pioneered this entire concept in this county. Basically, I'm an operator for the SWAT team until there's a medical need. Once there's a medical need, I shift gears and change over to the medical role, provided that the scene is safe enough to deploy that, and that would be the situation in any scene.
That time from when it's secure to when EMS finally gets there, that's that window of opportunity where we're getting in and making a difference.
So who do the SWAT medics and physicians treat on scene? Everybody. You know, if it's the bad guy that shot, he's going to get treatment too, and that may cause some people to curl their lip, but the reality is that's the expectation, and that's why we're there, and that's why we do it. We don't choose who we're going to treat. If someone's injured on that scene, whether it be the law enforcement officer, a civilian, or the bad guy, everybody's going to get some medicine on that scene.
The big thing, regardless of the mechanism of injury, how a person gets injured, these tools, these tactics, this equipment, this mental approach to dealing with an injured person is applicable whether you're overseas or you're here in the United States, whether it is truly law enforcement related or if it's just a horrible accident.
We've got help coming. Stay with me, buddy.
I've spent a lot of time both in travel and on the phone and via the internet helping other agencies get their trauma kit programs started up and in effect. And you can see them taking off around the country. Pima County Sheriff's Office out in Arizona had fully trained and deployed their agency 6 months before the shooting that took place that killed 6 people, and the Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was shot by the gunman. The deputies that responded physically treated 6 patients. All 6 of the patients that they treated that day survived that incident, and they were credited with keeping that incident, as traumatic as it was, from being worse. There was an officer killed in another state a number of years ago, and in review of that incident, I'm pretty sure that had that officer had, that agency had this training, had that equipment, very strong likelihood that officer should still be here, and that breaks my heart. There was a little girl in that state that her father was friends with that officer that was killed. And this little girl, she was about 10 or 11, she wanted to do something to help honor her father's friend. Well, this little girl got on the internet and did research wanting to know, what could I do? And she found some previous press articles about the Gainesville Police Department Trauma Kit program, and to date, this girl has raised over $40,000 to donate over 400 trauma kits to law enforcement officers in the state where that officer was killed. Between the Gainesville Police Department and local law enforcement agencies in this area, we've deployed the kits 38 times, and they've been successful 32 out of 38 times. All of them involving traumatic, potentially life-threatening injuries, gunshot wounds, knife wounds, ejections, amputations, self-mutilation, industrial accidents, you name it, it's run the gamut.
It's an amazing thing because you have the cases, he's got 38, we know we have 32 saves out of it. Working in an emergency room, I can tell you that is, you can't put a price on that value, and what you can bring to the community at large is tremendous. You really can't put a value on that. It feels very good.
These folks are still here because of the efforts of the Gainesville Police Department as far as getting in and dealing with their injuries. Had they not received that treatment from our personnel, without that intervention at that time, those folks would have died.
We are proud of the Trauma Kit program. Recently, Lieutenant Stout and Doc Slish had the opportunity to meet Kelly, the young lady that started the Blue Forever program, as she traveled through Gainesville. Also, the two had an opportunity to travel to U.S. Congress to share our program as part of the Stop the Bleeding campaign. After the break, we will talk about our upcoming Junior Police Academy and show you footage from last year. Don't go anywhere. Gainesville PD on Duty will be right back.
So you're cruising down the road and all of a sudden you spot flashing lights up ahead. Some sort of emergency vehicle. Maybe a cop car, maybe an ambulance, maybe a tow truck is stopped on the side of the road with its flashing lights on. What do? If you answer, just keep right on going. Wrong. Sorry, try again. When an emergency vehicle or tow truck is stopped on the roadside with its lights flashing, it's your job to move over or slow down 20 miles per hour below the speed limit. That's right, move over and give them some room, or slow down if you just can't change lanes. That is unless you like paying tickets, because that's just what you'll get, a big, fat ticket. So here's the deal. Keep your eyes on the road at all times and watch the road up ahead, not just what's right in front of your hood. Anytime you see an emergency vehicle or tow truck on the side of the road, move over a lane or slow down to 20 miles per hour below the speed limit. Give them the space they need to do their job safely. Hey, these folks are looking out for you, so look out for them too, will you? Move over, Florida. It's the law. A message from the Florida Highway Patrol, paid for by the Florida Department of Transportation.
I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime and with relentless prosecution of criminals, I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately, without fear or favor, malice or ill will, and never employing unnecessary force.
Welcome back to Gainesville PD on Duty. We are always looking for new ways to engage the community. Last summer, we tried something new, a Junior Police Academy. GPD Officer Charlene Collins saw a way to accomplish two things, giving our youth something to do over the summer and helping folks learn more about the department. Officers and staff from all areas of GPD volunteered to teach different topics during the week-long academy. Let's take a closer look at how things went.
Are you motivated?
Yes, sir!
Are you dedicated?
Yes, sir!
Motivation check.
Hoorah!
Dedication check.
Hoorah!
I'm Officer Charlene Collins with the Gainesville Police Department. I work as a school resource officer. The Junior Police Academy is a week-long summer camp that we designed for middle school students, either entering into middle school or preparing to leave middle school, 6th to 8th grade. Students who are interested in learning more about law enforcement, about their local police agency. It's a week-long camp where they are able to hear from our specialty units and see various specialty demonstrations, as well as get involved in interactive activities and skills that they're going to learn. Some of them are interested in becoming police explorers, so this gives them a little inside look into what they may see as they become an explorer as they reach the high school age. We actually had the idea for the camp a couple years ago, and we've been working on it, preparing and planning, and we're actually able to implement our first class this year. So we don't want them to feel like they're in school, but we do want to get them the information and the education. So they actually have a cadet handbook that has the curriculum for the academy. So each day they had their classroom instruction where they learned things about the history of policing, arrest, search and seizure, legal, forensics, traffic control.
So we want to make sure that you guys educate your families on how to be safe all the time.
All types of course curriculum that we might see in the actual police academy, where our actual police academy cadets go through. They got a little taste of that. It's a fun camp. We wanted to be fun for them. We didn't want them to feel like they were in school, but we want to make sure that they're getting the information that we are presenting to them, and they did. And we also incorporated interactive things such as building searches and mock crime scenes, where they actually had to go out and collect evidence and process a crime scene and try to figure out who committed the crime. So we wanted to make it fun for them. They got to do a taser demonstration, simulator demonstration. Our forensics crime unit taught them how to lift prints. So we wanted to make it fun, but we also wanted to be educational as well.
Speed up there, speed up there. You good to go, good job. Go, tag your partner, good job. I'm Officer Doug Williams. I'm a police officer at the Gainesville Police Department. I'm helping out the Junior Police Academy this week. I'm teaching the kids about physical fitness. So we have them doing PT. Today we're going to be ready to have them run an obstacle course and do a little upper body training. Group number 1, start here. Group number 2, we have a playground behind the facility here, as you can see. And we're going to use it today to actually have the kids go through it and use it as a makeshift obstacle course to use the different muscles in their bodies to maneuver through the different obstacles. Whee! There we go, for the wall. Today's society, we find that most kids are staying inside, using the electronics and not getting outside playing a lot. You have to do a lot of coordination drills where you have to think and you have to actually think to get through some of these obstacles. So actually getting outside and doing different things with their body and using their mind that way and putting it all together is a great benefit for these young people. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Both feet in, both feet out. Both feet in, both feet out. There you go. Good job, good job. Hit it. We want to explore the importance of physical fitness, how it makes them not only physically fit, but also mentally sharp, emotionally sharp. We want to make sure that they get in the habit of working out. I explained to them the importance of working out every day, even if it's before school, doing some jumping jacks, push-ups, and just generally staying healthy and staying fit, and how it'll help them out throughout their life and throughout their career, be it in the police department or any other career that they might choose. I'm proud of the work y'all did today. Y'all have about 3 minutes to get inside, get more water, change up, whatever you have to do, and get ready for the next class. All right? All right, good job. High five.
Today we had our second junior recruit class come through the academy. At our graduation ceremony, we wanted to recognize our students for their completion of the academy, and they committed their time. They came every day, 8 to 5, and we wanted to present them with a certificate of completion for accomplishing that goal. We also wanted to have the opportunity for their parents to come out and see what they did, and we also presented all of them with a certificate of completion today. We are going to plan on doing this every summer. We're going to try to do 2 camps a summer, so if anyone's interested in finding out more about the Junior Police Academy, they can contact me, Officer Collins. I can be reached by email or by calling the department, and they'll put you in touch. I'm very proud of our class. We had a really good group of kids. Everybody worked together. Everybody was best friends by the end of the week. We got to know a lot about each other, and I hope to see them out there in the streets, and they'll recognize me and they'll be able to come up and say, "Hey, Officer Collins, I remember you from the Junior Police Academy."
Last year's Junior Police Academy was a success, so naturally we are hosting it again this year. There is another session scheduled to begin on July 11th, so visit GainesvillePD.org for more information or to register.
And that wraps up this episode of Gainesville PD On Duty. Be sure to find us online on Facebook or Twitter or by visiting our website at GainesvillePD.org. You can learn more about the Gainesville Police Department and even watch previous episodes.
We are always looking for new topics to share with you on the show, so please let us know what you'd like to see.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon for another episode of Gainesville PD On Duty.
I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as public trust to be held, so long as I am true to the ethics of the police service. I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives and ideals, dedicating myself before God to my chosen profession, law enforcement.
Burglaries and robberies have become serious concerns in our city. This crime is referred to as a crime of opportunity because most criminals look for the path of least resistance. Protect yourself, don't become a target, lock your doors, and keep expensive items out of plain view.
For crime prevention information, go to GainesvillePD.org or call the Gainesville Police Department's Crime Prevention Office at 334-2479. Protect yourself, don't become a target.